The sun hung low over the quiet town of Crestview, casting long shadows across the dusty streets. Crestview was a small, tight-knit community nestled in the rolling hills, a place where neighbors knew each other's names, and the biggest excitement was the annual county fair. But beneath the surface of this peaceful town, a shadow was creeping in. A shadow carried in hidden compartments and secret packages. Illegal drugs were finding their way into Crestview, threatening to unravel the fabric of the community. That is, until K9 Radar, a German shepherd with an unmatched nose and an unbreakable spirit, stepped into the fray. Radar wasn't just any dog, born into a lineage of working canines. He was trained from a pup to detect the faintest traces of narcotics: cocaine, heroin, methamphetamine, and more. His handler, Officer Maria Delgado, had been with him since his first day at the Crestview Police Department. Maria, a no-nonsense officer with a soft spot for her four-legged partner, knew Radar was special. His dark brown eyes held a quiet intelligence, and his focus during training was laser-sharp. Together, they were an unstoppable team, patrolling the streets and keeping Crestview safe. It was a crisp autumn morning when the call came in. The department had received a tip from an anonymous source. A major drug shipment was expected to pass through Crestview's outskirts that evening, likely headed for distribution in the nearby city. The drugs were rumored to be hidden in a delivery truck, disguised among legitimate cargo. Chief Harper, a grizzled veteran with a knack for strategy, called Maria and Radar into his office. "Delgado, you and Radar are our best shot at stopping this," Harper said, his voice gruff but steady. "We've got a checkpoint set up on Route 17. If those drugs get through, they'll flood the streets, ours and beyond. You know what's at stake." Maria nodded, her jaw tight. She glanced down at Radar, who sat alert at her side, ears perked. "We've got this, Chief. Radar's nose hasn't failed us yet." The checkpoint was set up just as the sun dipped below the horizon, bathing Route 17 in a soft orange glow. The road was a quiet stretch, flanked by fields and the occasional barn. Officers milled about, setting up barriers and preparing for the evening's work. Maria and Radar took their position near the inspection area, where vehicles would be flagged for closer scrutiny. Radar's tail wagged slightly, a sign he was ready to work. Maria gave him a quick pat on the head, whispering, "Let's do this, buddy." The first few vehicles passed through without incident. A farmer's pickup, a family minivan, a couple of sedans. Radar sniffed each one diligently, his nose twitching as he moved methodically around tires and undercarriages. Maria watched him closely, trusting his instincts. If Radar sat, a signal he'd detected something, she'd know they had a hit. Hours passed, and the night grew colder. Maria zipped up her jacket, her breath visible in the chilly air. Just when it seemed the tip might have been a bust, a white delivery truck approached the checkpoint, its engine rumbling. The driver, a wiry man with a baseball cap pulled low, handed over his paperwork with a forced smile. "Just delivering some produce," he said, his voice a little too casual. Officer Jenkins, manning the checkpoint, glanced at the paperwork and waved Maria over. "Let's have Radar take a look," he said, his tone neutral but his eyes sharp. Maria led Radar to the truck, her heart rate picking up. Radar's demeanor shifted as he approached the vehicle. His tail stopped wagging and his ears tilted forward. He began his sweep, sniffing along the truck's exterior with intense focus. Maria watched as he moved from the front bumper to the side panels, then to the rear cargo door. Suddenly Radar froze. His nose hovered near the seam of the cargo door, and he sat, staring intently at the spot. Maria's pulse quickened. "Good boy," she murmured, signaling to Jenkins. "We've got a hit." The driver's face paled, but he tried to play it cool. "What? That's crazy. It's just vegetables in there." Jenkins wasn't buying it. "Step out of the vehicle, sir. We're taking a look." The officers opened the cargo door, revealing crates stacked high with produce. Lettuce, tomatoes, cucumbers. It looked legitimate, but radar's signal was unmistakable. Maria climbed into the truck, radar at her heels, and began inspecting the crates. She noticed one near the back that seemed slightly off. Its lid was secured with extra tape, and the wood looked newer than the others. "Radar, check this one," she said, pointing to the crate. Radar bounded over, his nose working overtime. He sat again, his gaze locked on the crate. With Jenkins' help, Maria pried open the lid. Beneath a thin layer of lettuce, they found tightly wrapped packages. Dozens of them, each filled with a white powder. Quick field tests confirmed it: cocaine. The street value was easily in the millions. The driver was cuffed and read his rights, his protests falling on deaf ears. As he was led away, he muttered something about just following orders. But Maria wasn't listening. She was too busy praising Radar, who wagged his tail furiously as she scratched behind his ears. "You did it, Radar. You saved a lot of lives tonight." The bust was a major victory for Crestview. The drugs were seized, and the driver's arrest led to a broader investigation that dismantled a regional trafficking network. Word of Radar's heroics spread through the town, and he became something of a local celebrity. Kids at the county fair begged for photos with him, and the local diner even named a burger after him, the Radar Special, complete with extra bacon. But for Radar, the fame didn't matter. He was happiest working alongside Maria, his nose to the ground and his heart in the job. Maria, too, felt a deep pride in her partner. She knew that as long as they were together, Crestview had a guardian who never missed a cent. Months later, as winter settled over the town, Maria sat in her patrol car, sipping coffee and watching snowflakes drift past the windshield. Radar snoozed in the back, his steady breaths filling the quiet. The radio crackled with routine chatter, but Maria's thoughts were on that night on Route 17. She reached back to pat Radar's head, smiling as he stirred. "You're one in a million, Radar," she said softly. "Let's keep this town safe." And with that, they drove off into the snowy night, ready for whatever challenge came next.